Hello, I'm the Trek Lad, and this is my review of Star Trek Discovery's 5th season episode, Lagrange Point. In this episode, Burnham leads a daring mission when Mal and the Breen beat the Discovery to a mysterious structure that they believe holds the progenitor's tech. Meanwhile, back at Federation HQ, Saru volunteers for a risky mission, Adira steps up in a big way, Tilly and Rayna stress over a chair, and Book flirts with a Breen. A quick heads up, this video contains spoilers, so if you've not yet watched this episode, this might not be the video for you. If you're just looking for my overall thoughts on this episode, you can skip to the timestamp shown here on screen. Let's warp into this. The episode opens at Fed HQ where things are very frantic, and not just because of all the hyperactive camera movement. For a split second we get a shot of this alien, which is probably the most interesting thing about this episode. Give me a spin-off show about this guy. Saru returns from his diplomatic mission and is immediately debriefed by Tarina and President Rillick, who reveal Primarch Tahal, the same Breen who ruled Rayna's homeworld, is on her way to claim Mal's dreadnought, raising concerns that things could get very bad if she learns of the progenitor's tech. Firstly, how good is it to have Saru back on screen? Doug Jones elevates any scene he's in, and he has been sorely missed this season. This debrief is as much for Saru as it is for the viewers who tuned out after the first two episodes. It's almost as if the show is admitting how skippable most of this season has been. It's not long this week before the head scratching begins. How on earth does the Federation know that Primarch Rule has been killed? It doesn't appear that enough time has passed for this information to be publicly known. Now we know the Breen are extremely secretive and highly xenophobic, so I find it very hard to believe the news would have travelled this fast, if at all. Needing a way to defuse the situation, Saru volunteers to intercept the Breen. A risky move, but a tidy way to ensure our favourite Kelpian factors into next week's big finale. Elsewhere, the Discovery appears to be in bad shape, having barely survived their encounter with the Breen in the last episode. Wait, actually, no, scratch that. They're fine. The spore drive is completely operational, and they're going to beat Mole and her jelly goons to the final coordinates. After all, this is a bit weird. Much like the news of the Primarch's death, it doesn't appear that any time has passed between the episodes, and given the pounding Discovery took with that risky jump last week, I was expecting them to be out of action for a bit longer than what we got here. Anyway, Discovery jumps into the middle of not one, but two black holes. Not good. After Tilly sciences them out of this small inconvenience, they discover a strange cylinder structure that they reason must be where the scientists have hidden the progenitor's tech. This all looks pretty impressive. I like that some sort of actual science is being applied to the show for once, even if it is in the usual frantic Discovery style that always feels like the writers aren't very comfortable with hard sci-fi concepts and just want to get through it as quickly as possible. Science later, problem now, as they say, one too many times for my liking. Before they can secure the strange cylinder thing, the Breen arrive and immediately take it for themselves. An unintentionally funny moment where the crew get a little too caught up in a moment of feeling and reflection. You snooze, you lose, I guess. I also found it funny that the Breen knew exactly what they were looking for and where it was, almost as if they had read the script and stolen Discovery's homework. It's one of the many eye-rolling contrivances that have plagued this season so far, but at this point I'm more amused than irritated by all this lazy writing. In any other traditional adventure, this setback would mark the pit of despair for our heroes. You know, the quintessential moment where all hope is lost before the big comeback in the final act. A moment like this could have tied neatly into the fear of failure Burnham expressed in the last episode, but obviously the writers have already forgotten about that, and the captain immediately hatches a wildly ambitious plan to infiltrate the Breen dreadnought and steal the cylinder structure. What all this amounts to is a mashup of Ocean's 11, the Death Star scenes from A New Hope, and Chakotay's reckless manoeuvres as seen in Voyager's premiere episode, Caretaker. It's all a bit slapdash, and it doesn't really make much sense, but science later, problem now. Aboard the dreadnought, the away team, now disguised as Breen, navigate through the ship. Reese and Adira successfully access a console to lower the shields, while Burnham and Book attempt to secure the cylinder. In true Discovery fashion, we get some moments that defy the severity of the situation. On an enemy ship, surrounded by thousands of hostile Breen soldiers, Burnham and Book take a very risky, very inappropriate moment to whisper about their feelings. Because of course they do. Rhys and Adira get small moments to shine. For Adira, who finds the courage to volunteer for the all-important away mission, this feels like the culmination of their season-long arc. Good for them. Their big moment is almost ruined by Stamets, however, whose paternal instinct once again overrides his sense of duty. The episode makes this needless moment of helicopter parenting even worse, with the swelling of music giving us the impression that this is supposed to be some sort of sweet and sentimental moment, rather than counterproductive and unprofessional. Whatever. While all this is going on, Marl is attempting to unlock the cylinder to access the tech that she believes will bring back luck. Turns out the cylinder doesn't actually contain the tech, rather a portal to the next episode. We get some entertaining visuals of Breen scientists getting sucked into the mysterious, blinding whiteness of the portal, visuals clearly influenced by Indiana Jones and also reminiscent of a similar, albeit far more sinister moment from the underrated sci-fi horror Event Horizon. Despite the odds and clearly being the worst Breen impersonators, the away team are successful with their insane and unlikely heist. Summoning some serious bisexual energy, Booker distracts a Breen soldier with something about an oil bath, allowing Burnham to do whatever it was she was trying to do. I guess this was supposed to be a funny moment, but I was far too focused on trying to work out how, on the most open plan ship in the universe, any of this could actually happen. Burnham and Book are finally discovered, prompting Rayner and Discovery to go into full-on fuck it mode, ramming the Breen shield and entering the shuttle bay, setting off a cacophony of explosions and fights all over the place. Watching this with your brain firmly switched off, I can imagine this was probably an exhilarating sequence. Viewers who like to think when they watch Star Trek might not feel the same way. This was just one big mindless video game cutscene, weightless and frantic. Science later, problem now. This scene perfectly highlights the episode and the show's overall aggressive demand that you disengage your brain. Because, after all, you don't want a bit of thinking getting in the way of having some fun, right? Amid all the chaos, Mole, having presumably run out of Breen scientists, enters the portal. Burnham quickly follows in a dramatic moment, despite not really needing to, having the final clue to complete the quest, and now having control of the cylinder. It's almost as if she knew beforehand that the cylinder was about to be blown into space, where it decompresses into its final voidy form. The episode concludes with Rayner finally sitting in the captain's seat, channeling Ed Harris from Apollo 13 and setting a course into the void to rescue Burnham and hopefully what is left of this final season. It almost goes without saying at this point that Callum Keith Rennie's Rayner is a standout feature of the episode, even if he is spending most of his time telling Tilly how amazing and smart she is and refusing to sit down. The moment he does finally sit in the big seat feels like a moment the show wants to feel epic and triumphant, like it's supposed to be Discovery's version of Captain America catching Thor's hammer in Avengers Endgame. But this didn't really work for me. I've never understood Rayner not wanting to sit in the captain's chair. After all, he was a veteran captain like only 8 episodes ago. I just assumed he didn't like chairs. Lagrange Point wants to be like all those Game of Thrones penultimate episodes where something massive and unforgettable happens. It packs a lot into its lean 46-minute runtime, pushing a frantic pace with loads of action spectacle that furthers the massive stakes of the season as well as the show's usual themes of love and understanding. Some will say that Discovery has saved the best for last, but I'm not one of them. For me, this is more of the same, just with more explosions. Another mindless episode, more Star Wars than Star Trek, filled to the brim with headache-inducing contrivances, CW-grade acting, sloppy production, moments that fail to hit their designed register, and whispers and tears. It's another example of Discovery giving us an hour of empty calories, a loud and ultimately forgettable bang that, much like the term that makes up this episode title, is designed to simply hold us in place for one more week. Didn't like this one. I'm giving Lagrange Point a 3 out of 10, although it is closer to a 4 than a 2. But what did you think of this episode? Let me know in the comment section below. If you haven't already, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more reviews like this coming soon. Until next time, I'm the Trek Lad. Live long and prosper.